Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. We're up to week 4 in the 12 weeks of Christmas stitch along, and this week we're going to be making this adorable wardrobe pomander. So the idea of this is that it hangs off a coat hanger and it hangs in your wardrobe and scents all of your clothing. The other thing that it can be used for, if you were to leave off the hanging section at the top, you could actually turn this into a little lavender sleep pillow, and you could pop it under your pillow and you could use it to sleep. So what we're going to do is show you how to put it all together. It's pretty simple, very easy design, but very effective, I think. So the first thing you'll need is a piece of linen. Now with this one I've gone with a natural linen. I've also done a version using white hanky linen. You can use whatever you want. This piece is cut down to 3.5 by 6.5, but you probably need to make it slightly bigger to begin with. So I would cut it at 4.5 by 7.5. And then of course, once you've stitched it, you can then trim it down to 3.5 by 6.5. This is the stitchery that we're going to be using. You can download that from the template sheet down below. There's a link to that. You will find that it's in the reverse as well, so that if you're going to be using my iron-on pen transfer method, the image is already reversed for you, so you won't need to worry about that. If you've purchased a 12 weeks of Christmas accessory kit, you will already have the iron-on transfer in there, and you can use my iron-on transfer method to get the image from the paper to the fabric, and I will link the video for that down in the description box as well. So once you have stitched your stitchery, and you can see there that I've actually just chosen 2 colours. How I did that was I chose the fabric I was going to use, and so it's this beautiful mustard one, and I chose 2 colours that complemented it. So the aqua for the leaves and the mustard colour for the flowers. Now the comparison colours are listed in the Tilda group. I'll also pop them down in the description box of the 2 thread colours that I used if you want to do the same. So that was pretty simple. So once we've done that, we can then pop it aside, and then we're going to get all of our other supplies together. Now you're going to need a button to put your little hanging piece on with, so you can choose a button. I've got a whole range of ones there that I was auditioning with mine. But you'll also need to cut a piece of maple farm fabric, which is the fabric we're using for this whole series. And this piece measures 3.5 inches in width by 9.5 inches in length. Now I will put all of these measurements down in the description box for you, so don't stress too much if you don't get a chance to write them down. So 3.5 by 9.5. You will also then need 2 pieces that are 2 inches by 3.5. So that is those 2, and they are for the top and bottom of, oh, I've got my needle and thread, the top and the bottom of the stitchery there. And then you will also need another piece of linen for your hanger, and this piece measures 2 inches by 8 inches. So we'll just pop that off to one side, and we'll get this together so we can put it all together on camera here for you. So we're going to actually stitch these 2 pieces, the 3.5 inch side, top and bottom of your stitchery. So if you go and do that, we'll then come back. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to do now is to put the backing piece on top of the front piece, and just match your raw edges. And when we're going to just pin it or clip it, whichever way you prefer to do it. And then we are going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew down the 2 sides and across the bottom, and then we'll come back. Okay, all done. So now we're going to clip the corners. Just going to clip off that little bit of bulk in each of the corners there, just like that. So it's not very much at all. Then we're going to need something to poke out the corners. I like to use the end of a little wooden paintbrush. So we're just going to turn it to the right side. And then just use your paintbrush to get into the little corners there. That way you get nice right angles. You don't want to use anything too sharp because it will poke all the way through the fabric, and you'll end up with a hole, and you don't want that. I've got a little bit of a stray bit of cotton there. Okay, So I'm going to take that over to the ironing board and give it a press to make it look nice and neat. But before I do that, I'm also going to take over the piece of linen for the hanger. And what you're going to do is to fold it in half lengthwise like that, and then iron it so that you've got a nice crease down through the middle like so. And then you're going to open it back out, and then you're going to fold each of the two edges into the middle, into that middle fold. Okay, so you're going to have something that looks a bit like that. And I've already done that. This is only a scrap piece. I've already done that to this piece, so it's now ready to take to the sewing machine in a moment. But I just wanted to show you that you need to do that while you're at the ironing board this time. So I'll go and press this and we'll come back. And there we have it. So it's nice and crisp looking now. So we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew all the way down this side here to form our hanger. And what we're also going to do is we're going to sew along the bottom 1/4 of an inch in from the edge all the way along here. Okay, so that's that done. I've given this a little press so it's right to go. So it's going to end up being a little hangers like that. And this one here, of course, we've got this little 1/4 of an inch top sewn line there now. Now you might ask why I've done that. It's because we're going to close the top in the same manner, and I wanted it to look the same top and bottom so it doesn't look out of place. I think it sort of looks much better when you've got it on both ends. It looks like it's meant to be there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pop some stuffing in there, and I'm just going to use a little bit of fill just to give it a bit of body. So what I tend to do is to use the fill first so that it goes into the bottom corners and we get to keep our shape. Now obviously it's going to depend on how much scent you put in there as to how much you actually want, whether you want it to be very aromatherapy style or whether or not you just want to have a little bit of fragrance. That's up to you. I've got my Tasmanian dried lavender from my garden here, and I'm just going to pop a few handfuls of that in. And I like to alternate the lavender with the fill. So pop a bit more fill in, and then a bit more lavender. And you just keep doing that until you get the sort of desired consistency that you want. Obviously you don't want to completely fill it with lavender because, well, it's hard to come by for a start, but if you're going to be purchasing it, it can be quite expensive. But it is great to keep your clothes smelling fresh, get rid of that stale smell in your wardrobe. And as I said before, you can use it as a sleep pillow. So it's a great versatile gift that can be used either way. And so I'm just going to fill up the top of it now with lavender. Now you can put a lining on the back if you've got a see-through linen. You can pop an interfacing or something on the back so you can't see the lavender through it. That's up to you. That Maple Farm fabric in the mustard is so pretty. I absolutely adore it. So what we're going to do now is just take this over to the ironing board and we're going to fold it under 1/4 of an inch all the way around like that. Now the reason I like to iron my sections before I sew them is that you get a much neater finish. Ironing is one of the most underrated skills that you have when you're sewing. It is important that you use it to get those beautiful finishes, because if you don't iron beforehand, you're just not going to get that crispness. If you were to just go over to the sewing machine like that, you can see how that would just push out. You can see it's pushing out. If I've already pressed it with a hot iron, I've already got my crease. It's already there. I know it's straight, and it's just a matter of sewing straight across the top. So just take that extra time and do your bit of ironing first. So I'll go and press mine, then I'll stitch across it, and then we're ready to do the final stage. And there we go, it's sewn across there nice and neatly with a lovely crisp edge at the top. We're then going to take this little hanger and we're going to match the two raw edges. Now you could turn under those edges if you wanted to before you fold your fabric in half, but it is actually going to give you too much bulk, I feel. So you're just going to have to work with the raw edges. I think that's going to be okay because you're going to be covering it up with your button, if your button's big enough, of course. And all you need to do is to take a needle and thread. I'm just going to hide my knot in behind there like that. And what I like to do to begin with is to actually sew the hanger on first, just to make sure that it's attached a little bit. So I'm just going to put 3 stitches in there, I think. And then I'm going to do a little knot so that it gives it a little bit of stability. So it's just a matter of popping your needle back through your loops and giving yourself a little knot. And then you can just put your button on. And you can see it's just going to sew on there. And get it in the position you want it. And then just simply stitch it down. A little bit difficult doing this through the eye of the camera, but I'm sure I'll get there. I've missed it altogether. How about that? Okay. Let's try again. There we go. And so then we're going to go back down through the other side of the button and then back into the hanger. And there we go. Now I'll finish that off camera because it's getting increasingly difficult to do it through the camera. But there you go. So that is this one that we've done on camera today, and this is the one that I did off camera. So you can see the totally different looks you can get with different coloured linens. So I hope you've enjoyed making today's pomander. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And you can also click that little bell there and you'll get a notification every time I upload a new video. I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.